Right, so also I've had a late arrival too to show up. Alana's here too. Alana, do you want to stand up with Chris up front? Thank you. Okay, so I welcome our hosts today, Alana and Chris Brander. Thank you so much again, as Aiden said, for putting this day on. It's people like you that make these days possible, truly. I know the amount of dedication that has gone into put this day on and into your team to share this, and it's that farmer to farmer learning. That's why we get this crowd here. That's why people want to see. So thank you so much. We really appreciate it. So I just want to introduce Chris and Alana. They have been on this farm at Driffield farming for 6 seasons now. This is in their 6th season. They've spent some time farming in the Central Plateau, also Australia, and Chris is actually a registered builder, but then saw the light and decided to go back farming as that's his roots as he grew up dairy farming. So Chris, can you just give us, and Alana, just give us a bit of a background with how you guys came to farming and the family that you're raising here on farm?
Originally, obviously...
Actually, we should probably get on the stage. I just realized no one can see us at the back. Sorry, team. I'm also tall.
My introduction to dairy farming was, I guess, when we were born and bred on a dairy farm, and that's where we learnt the basic fundamentals of getting things right and doing it right. I went to Fielding Ag. We had a dairy farm and a sheep and beef farm, and then after that I signed myself out of school, and my dad said I'd get an apprenticeship, so I did 6 years building, completed that, and as soon as I was finished I just went straight back to dairy farming. I was saving for an OE, so I went over to Australia, did a year in Terang, travelled for 2 years and went back to the central north coast of New South Wales where I met Alana, and we farmed there until 10 years ago. We've moved back to Central Plateau for 3 seasons and made our way down to the promised land, Southland.
Spoken so true. Yeah. I mean, I've never farmed anywhere else, but it's pretty great. Yeah. Great, thanks. And then if I could just talk through, so you're 6 years farming here, year one, when you came in here to now we're 6 years in. What did this business look like when you first started here?
It looked amazing. We'd just come from the Central Plateau, which was quite difficult farming, and we would come down here and it was a real eye-opener just to see how much grass Southland can grow. The team we had was well established, and yeah, it was just great to get in there and see grass grow all year round. You're not worrying about it stopped growing in February and then not starting to grow to October. So yeah, the team was well established. We had two managers who'd been there for a couple of years, so yeah.
Great. And then can you tell me a little bit about farming in this particular part of northern Southland, or this farm in this valley? What's it like farming here? What's the season like?
The last 2 years it's been quite difficult in spring, so we've really just had to manage ourselves getting through there. But once everything gets up and running, it's great. It just becomes a grass factory.
Yeah, great. And then I probably also just need to mention, before I get into all my line of questioning, that you guys might have some questions out there in the crowd. On the back of your lanyard, and if you don't have a lanyard, you're in trouble. On the back of your lanyard, there's a QR code. You can scan this and you can ask any questions you want to Chris or Alana or any of their managers here today, or any of our key scientists. So if you have a scan of that and you can put it on Slido, that means you don't have to raise your hand and ask a question if you're someone that doesn't like to raise their hand, and you still get your questions answered. If you do like to ask questions, you can raise your hand, and I've got Nick in the crowd over here on my right, and I've got Keely on my left with a microphone so she can come run out a question. So please just raise your hand, and at any point during the day, ask a question. You don't want to hear from me all day. I want to hear from you guys. So carry on with that overview of the farm. Chris, so we've got this board up here behind you. I'll just step to my right. And that's on page, I believe it's 17 in your handouts if you want to follow along in there, if you can't see that far away. And we've also have the map of the farm. So Chris and Alana, if you could just go through, currently today, what are we looking at in terms of size of the farm and the cows?
We've got two adjoining units, and they actually just piece together quite nice and easy. That one being on the northern side and Driffield one on the southern side. Both of them are 360 hectares pretty much, and we milk 1,050 cows on each. We got two 54 bale rotaries, a 600 cow barn and a 900 cow barn. the moment we're currently just in that winter barn there, which is pretty central to the whole farm.
And then if we run through a little bit more about some of the numbers here. So we're stocking rate at currently at 2.9. You've been consistent over that the last 4 seasons.
Yeah, that's due to our consent. Maximum consent numbers are 1,050 on each farm. So I think ideally the farm would run better with probably 50 to 60 cows on each unit. But yeah, we're governed by consent numbers.
Yeah, and that's good to know. Thank you for that context. Is there anything else that we need to know about this farm that could limit what we're doing here, or could probably help what we're doing? Like, what's the limiting factors of the farm?
Just it retains a lot of moisture coming out of winter, and it's really, really difficult. Sometimes we can't graze 15 to 20% of the first round paddocks until the second or third round is finished. So yeah, it does hold a lot of water.
Yeah. Is there anything else like snowfall, rain? Like, how much rainfall a year would you get here?
The last 2 years of September and October, we had 200 mils in each month.
Ooh.
And then we quite often will get late snow in September and October. Quite often when we're trying to get the turnips in, the plough's turning over snow.
That's quite a challenge. Yeah. Is there anything else in terms of milk production that you've been doing on farm? Because you can see here that we've gained quite a bit of milk production over the last 4 years, and steadily rising. And you can see your target here for this season is again raised from last season. Is that due to understanding the farm and its challenges and maximizing those, or what do you think that's coming down to?
Yeah, 100%. I think we're just getting to know the farm more and more, and just fine tuning those 1%ers, grass management, grass species, just tidying up a few older varieties and better genetic gains as well.
Yeah, and we're going to go deeply into each one of those in each one of our sessions. So thanks for giving us that overview of where performance is coming from on the farm. Another really big part of where performance comes is from people on this farm, and we're going to get to that in just a minute. But before we go through that, I know this business is owned in a governance structure. Can you just give us a little bit of details on the ownership structure of this business?
Yeah, this business has 2 owners, Simon McFarland and Mike Davies. They're both directors. We've got a non-owning director, which is Neil Johnson, and then we've got Tony Robinson, our farm consultant, which sits in a governance role between myself and the owners, then myself as the general manager.
And if we think about like businesses run through a governance structure, what does good governance in practice look like to you?
It's just about having clarity and communicating with everybody. We've got a plan, we've got a detailed financial plan. We budget 3 to 4 months before the start of the season even starts. So open communication, and yeah, just everyone's on the same page at all times, good or bad.
And how often are you guys meeting as a group?
We'll have a yearly AGM, but we have monthly reports where every 20th of every month we've got a detailed financial report and farm report, which goes out to everybody, and then there's commentary back and forth from there. And
that's you doing those reports. What's your role in that? So do you do the financial and the performance reports?
All the coding, everything gets put into each section between the 2 farms, and then our accountant will do a financial management report. I'll have a farm report which goes beside that, explaining anything which goes overs or unders or timing related issues, and yeah, so they go from there.
Great. And then if we keep going on to our in our handout, or in our booklet, we've got page 17, or even past that, might be page 16 or 15. We've got a bit of a key elements of business success, and some of the business overview and some of the philosophy and what you guys are striving for in this business. So if I look at those 4 key elements, those success, or those 4 pillars, they're high pasture harvest. We've got great production with strong financials, kind of what Chris said before, getting the simple things right every day, those 1%, and strong people leadership and culture. So out of those ones, through challenging the farm, through getting performance out of those key areas, is there anything that you won't compromise on, even in a tough year?
Yeah, there is. We've got 3. It's people, feed and cows. We've got a lot of levers we can pull outside of that, but that's the core. And if you look at farming, there's no start or stop and restart. If you take your foot off the throttle there, you're starting from scratch from the next year, so we don't budge on that.
And I love how people was the first thing that you said. So yeah, people was also a very strong part of that pillar and the success of the business. If you consider those 4 elements and the success that you've had over the last 6 years, well, we've given you guys 4 years of data, but we can go back quite further with Chris into 6 years of data of moving that needle. What do you think is the thing out of the things you won't compromise on or the things that you strive for doing that have really moved that needle the most for you in this business?
I think it's just understanding the business more and more. It becomes to be like an extension of your body. But in saying that, just having the team here, which has been here for a long time, and when someone does come in, the experience is shared, so we get to replicate that system. But you asked me to rank the 4, but I think that you can't do one without the other, but you don't go full tilt on one. It's a gradual succession over 5 or 6 years to get them right and fine-tuning. And there's been some things that don't 100% work, but then you just take a step back and then say, well, what can we do?
And finding that balance of all of them.
Yeah. It could go wrong very easy if you went from 0 to 100 and didn't try and fine-tune it. So each year now we're just looking at 10 to 20,000 solids increase based off genetic gains, or just a couple of things we think we can do better rather than reinventing the wheel and trying to do it 100,000 at a time.
Yeah, and we're going to go deep into that in each one of the sessions. What are those little things that you're doing to get that kind of 10% more? So if we go into kind of a little bit about, before I get into the people bit, but just to wrap up that business section about you and Alana, what are some of the personal business goals that you guys have going forward? Because Chris is a general manager here. He's been here for 6 years. So what does the future for you look like?
Moving forward, I think in the next 12 to 24 months, we're looking for an equity partnership. We love Mossburn. I don't think we don't want to move from Mossburn, but we're looking at extending our business and trying to join an equity partnership in the Southland region.
And is because you love multi-farming and you love people, so is that in your future, you think, keeping this type of structure and this type of farming setup?
Yeah, 100%. That's exactly. It's a replicable model, and I think once you've got systems in place, you can add one to another and it won't change as long as you've got the same systems, the same people believe in what you do and what they do.
Great, that's a great segue into my next section. Let's talk about people. Thank you so much. It's almost like I've trained you to do this today.
Pretty much.
So before we get into that, I would just like to acknowledge all the team that's here today that's working on farm. So could you please stand if you are working on this farm today, if you're part of the farm team, please? Some at the front. Awesome. Some guys at the back. Awesome. Yeah, just round of applause for these guys today. Thank you. And Tony, Tony, you could have stood up too, yeah. Thank you so much for all the hard work you've done to put today on. These field days are a bit more than our normal field days. Obviously, Pasture Summit's putting this on, and there's a bit more work that's involved in it. So thank you for all the prep work that's gone into this. It's really noticed. So if we just scroll down to this way, I'll leave you on that side of this poster, and I'll come to this side. We have a breakdown of the team structure, which is also in your handout on page 18. And you can see here we've got a Chris at the top, and then he has a structure of the 2 farms split out. Can you just run through this one for me, Chris?
Yeah. So obviously just up there, my job is to plan ahead, and we're looking, at the beginning it's the next whole season, but then stepping back from there and planning month by month, or even pulling back to 2 weeks. So James and Trinidad, they do day-to-day operations. They manage the farms, they direct the team. We've got 2 ICs, and they also direct the teams when the boys are off. And then we've got Melinda, Nuan, Sitha, Tharika, Sitha, Jana, who do daily operations, and Bodika he'll cover both farms when people are on annual leave. Poor Jiva, he fixes everything what gets broken at the back.
He's at the back, isn't he?
He's the main guy, so
yeah.
I try to plan ahead, the boys implement on the day, and Jiva fixes everything behind everybody.
He's a key person in the business.
Yeah, well, it costs $2.20 a kilometre to get some from Invercargill, so he's a very, very important person in our business.
Yeah, and with the scale that you have, like how is that role important in this scale?
Yeah, words can't explain how important it is. It's just being able to get up and running a large farm, let alone two joined together. When something goes wrong, a breakdown, it's not an hour. You're down for an hour, it generally doubles at the back end of the day. So being able to do some sort of bush fix or something up and running, get it up and running is great. We don't fix any of our own motorbikes, tractors or utes. From health and safety point of view, we just get a different person in to do that, but any other fixes are done on farm.
And then within Jiva's role, does he also do other things outside of those? Like, what's he doing in terms of, he does a bit with pasture management or? So
Jiva will do all of our urea and topping on a daily basis if required. A lot of topping up until Christmas or just the month after, but without direction he will top the paddock if required and then spread fertiliser so it's done on the day.
So efficient, very efficient system then, with having him being able to pull the triggers when needed.
Yeah, between James, Trinder and Jiva, they could organise pre-grazing, measuring, fixing the paddock, having it reset for the next 23 days to be grazed.
And then, so I guess that kind of leads me to the next question is, like, what's the role versus like what the managers own and what's their day-to-day compared to like what you do at the business level? Like, where's the line there?
Sometimes the line can be a bit grey where we'll jump in and help each other, but on a high level my job is probably more strategic organisation, thinking larger orders, doing that planning a month in advance. The guys are implementing the day-to-day operations. They organise where all the cows go, all the measuring jobs, what the teams are going to do, and then Jiva as well, he'll just come in himself and once the plan's set, he'll execute that as well.
And that probably brings me to my next thing. So that day-to-day running, I saw you guys did have when I did all of my pre-visits with Chris, which there were quite a few, my apologies to Chris, to get all the content, I had a wee look through his cowshed and saw this task roster hanging up and was quite impressed by it. And it's something that I probably copied and put in my own cowsheds because it's really good. So if you guys could just talk, or maybe James or Trindu want to come up and just speak to that, but how does that work on farm and how do you share responsibility within the team in the day-to-day running of the farm?
I'll make the first comment and I'll get James to come up and explain it. But it just means that the farm's just fluid all the time. It's working. There's no questions. There's nobody kicking stones. Milk cows are getting in milk. There's daily jobs. What will be done? And as long as the boards are complete, which we call the board is just the grazing plan, the world will spin around and everything will be done for the day. Everything which is required will be done. Everybody will rotate through that job role. No one's fighting about having to get the worst job from 2IC to the newest person. It'll rotate right around. So, James, do you want to comment on that? Any questions? Or? You
got it? You covered it? Oh, okay. Well, I'll get you to you'll get the mic out in the paddock then, James. I'll steal it off of him.
You can have the next question.
So, I guess my next part is around staff retention and culture on farm. So you can see I've put up here all the years that everyone's been on farm from, is this season or last season? I can't remember now. Current season. So up to current now, how many years they've been on farm. So why do you think people stay here?
We've actually had a lot of people who have stayed on and just moved on and progressed in the last couple of years as well. So the average time is probably a bit longer, but this also continued before I arrived as well. I think Driffield's always been good employers, people first, and just, appreciating all the hard work what everybody does as well, because Southland's not an easy climate, everybody knows it, and it can be really hard a lot of times, probably more than not. So just appreciating everything what everyone does and, I guess humanising it.
And can you tell me a little bit about what you've done then to avoid that churn? So of people coming and going, what are the things that non-negotiables that you provide or that you make sure are here to avoid that from happening?
It's just having a relationship, as I said, everybody's a cog in the business, and after work everybody is the same. We have multiple dinners throughout the year, 6 to 7. Through COVID it was monthly. The guys, we rear some beef calves and we get about 10 grand out of that per year and goes into dinners, and we have 6 to 7 of those. So it's just good to catch up with everybody outside of work have a joke, laugh around, but even during work, stop, say good day. You know, at any one point of the week, it's someone's Monday or someone's Tuesday. So, you know, if it could be a Wednesday and saying, you know, enjoy your weekend, you know, it's Thursday, Friday's their weekend. So, yeah.
Knowing what's going on, knowing where they're going. And then if I talk to you a bit about like people development into the team, I know that developing people from within the business is quite important to you. So can you just talk to us about how you develop people and what their kind of career progression pathway looks like on this farm?
I guess for us, and we've probably found this the last few years, is that we probably develop the herd managers quite well, but there isn't enough openings for 2IC or managers, so they will progress on. And we've had a couple of guys go from herd managing now to contract milking, etc. But definitely encourage the junior guys to study. If they pass the course, we'll pay for it. You know, I think everyone's just got to understand that once you get a title or you're herd manager or 2IC, you're actually, we're paying for more information. Your effort's always there, but learning the how and the why. So if we can get the guys to learn, educate, get better at what they're doing, it's a benefit for us.
And then I guess to look at that from long-term perspective, like what does retention mean in terms of business performance and operational performance? Yeah,
it's hard. Well, we've got a real simple model, but our attention to detail's pretty intense. So
you don't say, Chris. I've met you now.
When we get a new employee, they'll stay in the cowshed for 7 days. They'll for their 6 days, and they'll get mirrored. So they'll learn everything what needs to happen in there. Then for the next week, they'll be outside, and they'll be mirrored again. So just making sure they learn our systems to start with, and then we're teaching them from the ground up. And you know, we're not leaving them to any bad habits or anything what doesn't fit in with our mould. We can sort of just nip in the butt and bring through. And once we've got them not grounded but just set on our level, everyone just sort of just runs back through the system.
And I guess it sounds like you're running that kind of, that mirrored system is quite good. So that's that, you know, I show you, then you show me kind of mentality. And then people are like, they're not just given a task. You have to actually show that you can perform the task. Yeah, back. Yeah, great. So before I go to the crowd for questions, so I want you guys to think of some few now, put them on Slido, or just start to think about raising your hands on the people section. Chris, what have I missed? Like, have I not asked you the question that you're looking for to talk about people, business, structure, you know, your personal goals?
No, I think you've been pretty bang on. Everybody in our team is a cog, and without one person out of this group, you know, we can't complete our day. So just shows the importance that everybody on every level has got a job. And when you're on scale, you can't do everything yourself. 3 people can't do it all. It's a team. So you've just got to make sure that everybody knows what to do at any one time, and that's where we get the benefit of having that job sheet and everyone's trained up. So if someone's hurt or sick or someone moves on, we've just got the next person who can move straight up and take over.
That's great. That's a great mentality. So if I go to the crowd now for any questions on this whole section, does anyone have anything about people, business, or overview? Yeah, Dan?
So I'm on Slido today. I've got a couple of questions here for you, Chris. Chris, do you have a business or personal mentor? And how do you seek out these mentors, and what do you use them for?
Well, Tony mentors me quite a bit. He's taught me a lot, and coming down here, I think we've taken a large step forward. But even going back from that, we learned a lot from Dad growing up farming on family farms. I guess just taught us the values of doing things once and doing it right. As a kid, if you didn't do something right, you had to go and do it again. So you soon learn the value of doing it once and doing it properly and moving that forward, and just having that right moral compass moving forward on farming, you know.
Do you use AI in any part of your business or this business, and what's your thoughts on it or how it could be used?
James uses AI to measure the silage stack, and that's about it. It's pretty accurate actually too.
Any other questions, Dan? Just Slido? No, cool. Okay, I'll ask some more questions. Anything from the crowd? Yeah? Go ahead, Al.
In terms of the financials, Chris, do the staff have access to the financials, and do they ask for it? Do you offer them any coaching? Because it's often a weak link that not everyone gets help early in life to understand how to work, manage the money.
So like around financial literacy, Al, yeah.
On a higher level, the managers and that will get an overview, but definitely when the guys request information for any study or courses or farm data, they get that. Where Seneca, you had to do a whole farm plan, didn't you? And we gave you everything. So anything anyone wants or needs, it's available for the team.
Yep. Runner for the mic, sorry, just so I can hear you.
Thanks, Chris. Just interested in the people side around it, and you talked a lot about processes, etc. How are you not pushing that in is the wrong word, but how are you implementing that, or who decides, what part of the platform gets hosed each morning? Is that the level that you're getting into and your standards you're setting, or is that the team that needs to initiate all that?
Can you say that again? Sorry, just about the process.
About the process? You talked about the mirroring when they start, and so you're saying that you're showing them the example, etc. Who's initiating that? If I look back to some of our own farms, who initiates that? Who's driving that standard? I suppose
that goes back down to the ground level, and even from a dairy assistant to herd manager who's been there, to OCs and managers overseeing that. Just the odd critique if needed, but it's just about perception. And like someone could think they've done a great job, but if they're not told or realise that it's done at 75% rather than 100%, they don't know. So just open communication and just saying, hey, great effort, but we'll do this. Or you've measured your 0.2 of a hectare out. So making sure everyone's on the same level of standard and what they think is right, and it's pretty important.
I'll ask another question onto the back of that one. So how do you make sure that your standard of expectations is met by everyone on the team then?
From a day-to-day, I'll try not to interfere with the managers. So if I'm particularly not happy with something, I'll talk to them and then they'll just rectify that or pass that on. I think moving on and being here for 6 or something years, if I'm ringing or directly talking to somebody, it's sort of overstepping the mark. So making sure that farm standards are getting brought in from the farm managers to OCs, etc. is pretty important.
Okay. Any other questions from the crowd?
Yeah, I've got one here. Feel free to answer this however you like, Chris. The current structure of Driffield Farms, is this long term, or are directors open to current structures like equity partnerships, etc.?
The way it's structured now is pretty much long-term situation. Yep.
Well, I just have a couple kind of wrap-up reflection questions for this section, Chris, and it's around that people side as well. But like, if you could think about other farms that you see, and this is a bit of a big question, but what's a mistake that you see other people making with people or with farm structure around people?
I don't really like commenting over the fence, but I guess if there's one comment I could make, what we run, staff aren't an expense, they're an asset. I guess if people could bring that into their systems, you could, it's those discretionary decisions, and if you look after the guys or you invest in them, rather than driving past something, they'll go, oh, okay, I'll just sort this out. So, if they're treated well and everyone invested in the business, you're going to get another 10 or 15% probably.
And if you could kind of just summarize, what's one thing or what's a couple of things that you're most proud of about how this team operates out on farm?
I could think you should just look at the results and what they do and what they can replicate year on year. Like we don't go out every day and say this is what we got to do, because everybody knows what we got to do. So just their attention to detail, effort, and it's so great when you're driving past and everyone's got a smile on their face and they're driving around. It's a place where people want to work. That
probably links me really nicely to kind of summarize this session, because yeah, I can see that the people are the assets on the farm and they're not a cost line. So if we're thinking about, because we're about to hand over to Ron to go into financials, so if we're thinking about people on farm as being those on-farm assets and they're, you know, getting higher production and they're doing things that offset operating expenses, that all comes down to the operating system working really well, and that's done by the people who work within that operating system. I think you've said it to me once, but this might be loosely quoted from you, but it was that production and profit is the outcome of execution done on farm. So it's not necessarily always the goal. It is a goal to have really good, those things done really well, but it's kind of the thing that falls out the bottom if everything else is going really good on farm.
Yeah, you said it a little bit better than probably what I do, but yeah, I say yeah. Production,
I also had you quoted
yeah.
that Alana was away for school camp, and you said that that job was 10 times harder than this job because you'd have the kids for a week. So
that's 100% correct.
yeah, I've got a couple quotes up my sleeve. So if we could link into that financial stuff, I'll get Ron to kind of come forward wherever you are. Ron, there he is. Come forward. But if you did strip back, you know, some of the system, the biggest financial advantage of having this experienced team, what would you say?
Just that the business can operate and it can operate soundly. You know, if we're like I'm going away for 2 weeks, or you know the managers are away for James has just been away for a month. You know, the world still spins around. The sun comes up, and we're making good quality milk, pastures grazed right, and you know we're running a profitable business. So that's what experience gives.
Thanks. Thank you so much. So I'll now pass on to Ron. So we've got Ron Pallo here. He's a senior farm system specialist at DairyNZ. He actually is a proud Cantabrian, but we won't hold that against you, Ron. Thanks for traveling down. He's also led farm system change at Lincoln University Dairy Farm, and he actually spends quite a bit of time in Southland as he has just wrapped up a really big project in the Belfer catchment group. So if you guys are associated with Belfer Catchment Group, you might already know Ron on stage. So thanks so much, Ron, for being here. Big round of applause for Chris for that first section. Thank you so much, Chris.